Hey guys, so today you're going to be writing a summary of this article from author Arthur Miller, who's the writer of The Crucible. And in addition to doing that, we're going to do twofold here. You're also going to be learning how to write good summaries. See, in the future coming up, you guys will have things like research papers, or even when you read like a textbook for social studies or science or something like that, you guys have to do note taking and summarizing. And it's a good skill to learn how to put content or material that you're reading into your own words, and to read like a section of an article and pull a main idea out of it. So that's what summarizing helps you with, so that you don't read an entire article and at the end of it you kind of don't know what the main ideas were in it or what the gist of it was. Summarizing helps you kind of pull out those main ideas, you jot them down, and then you have them there in your notes to remember. Or if you're writing a paper, then you take that info out of your notes and you incorporate it into your paper. So it helps in a bunch of different ways. So we're kind of doing both things today. You're going to read this article that gives you a little bit of background on why Arthur Miller actually wrote The Crucible, which it's during the Red Scare, and we talked about all that background. And then you're also going to learn how to hopefully do a good summary. Okay, so if you guys look at the first handout that you got, it actually is this one, which is summarizing note taking. Now let me view this better for you guys. There you go. Okay, so I'm going to kind of go through this handout with you guys and give you a quick pointer or two, and then hopefully in the next few minutes you'll know how to write good summaries. Okay, so the first thing it says is summaries contain the most important facts in an article. Right here, this part that says summaries are less than a third to a quarter of the length of the article being summarized. That's key, because the problem with a lot of students is that they over summarize, right? Like they're highlighting everything, or you're writing everything down, and that's not helping you to pull out the main idea. So you have to be careful of writing enough, but also not doing too much. So then, you're just rewriting the whole article practically, and you don't want to do that. Okay, so keep it short and simple. It says that's the point. So say this article that you're reading today is 4 pages, and because it's word processed, you're going to do a little bit, you're handwriting the notes today. You're going to take out a sheet of paper and jot down your notes as you read. So you'll probably have about a page and a half of notes today, of handwritten notes that you're taking. Okay, and again, that depends on how large you write and stuff like that, but for the most part you're looking at about a page and a half of notes. Okay, that's what you should walk out of here with total. If you have way more than that, you got to learn to pare it down a little bit more. Okay, so here's the next part. See where it says keep the following information in mind when you summarize. Okay, at the top of all your notes, you guys have to identify the material you're summarizing. Give all this bibliographical info right here. The author, the title, the date, blah, blah, blah. That's the stuff you would need if you have to then cite that information, right? You want to know right away at the top where this is coming from. So say you go to dump this into a research paper, and you're like, oh my gosh, now I wrote all the info in there. What source did that come from? And then you got to go back to the internet or back to the book and try and find all this citation info. Whereas if you put it right away at the top of your notes, you have it all there for the citation stuff, so you don't even have to dig for it. And you'll know what source it is right away. Okay. Number 2 says under that info that you just wrote, the author, all that blah, blah stuff, you're going to write one sentence, just a quick phrase that sums up what the article is about. Again, so that you know the overall gist of it. And this is one simple, right? This is why Arthur Miller wrote The Crucible. It's in the title. So literally it'll be publishing info on the top, a quick phrase that sums what the article is about, and then number 3 is you're going to start the summary. Okay, so here's what it tells you. Follow this procedure when summarizing an article. First thing, obviously, is you read and you take notes of the most important ideas while you read, okay? If you read the whole thing and then try to take notes on it, it's never going to work, you guys, right? Because then you just have to go back all the way through it. So what I suggest is basically you guys read a paragraph or two. Like if they're smaller paragraphs, read 2 paragraphs at a time. Otherwise, if it's a longer or bigger paragraph, read 1 paragraph, stop, write down a key phrase, sentence, or main point about what you just read. Okay? So kind of 1 to 2 paragraphs at a time. Read 1 to 2 paragraphs, stop, write down something quick about it. Okay? And you should only really have a point or 2 about each paragraph. You shouldn't do too much more than that. Or again, you're not jotting down the main important stuff. Okay? All right. Next, it says delete trivial, unnecessary info. Keep it short and to the point. That's key, you guys. You don't have to use full sentences and summaries. If you want to, do it. If you don't want to, then feel free to, just bullet points or phrases or whatever works for you. Just don't write too little so that you forget what you were writing. Like, you got to make sure you can go back and understand your notes. So write enough to understand your notes, but don't put too much in there so that it's just a bunch of unnecessary info. Next, it says to substitute superordinate words for lists if they're not important. And what that means is instead of writing a bunch of proper nouns like daisies, tulips, roses, you can just say flowers in general. Again, that just goes back to deleting unnecessary info. Unless knowing that word, like say you're in a science textbook and it's giving you like, important words, you have to know vocab type words, then of course you want to list those down. All right, this one's key. Write the summary in your own words, unless you want 1 to 2 specific quotes for a reason. And if you do that, make sure you put quotation marks around it, even in your summary, you guys, so that you know that was a quote you took word for word. Okay? Otherwise, it has to be in your own words. If you're going to use a couple of things for quotes, make sure you put quotation marks around them. And like I said, you don't need complete sentences. Phrases should be easily understood, not just 1 or 2 words. If you just write 1 or 2 words down as a point, you're going to go back and look at it later on and not know what the whole gist of it was that you were supposed to know. And then make sure your summary is accurate in content and emphasis so you get the author's point. And what that means is that's where I'm telling you to break it down paragraph by paragraph. If you scan through a bunch of it or you skip a couple paragraphs, you might miss the gist of what the author was saying. Okay, so paragraph or 2 at a time. Okay, then the summary self-evaluation is just like, okay, so am I like doing what my quick checklist, following the directions you're supposed to? Did you delete unnecessary trivial info? Redundant means repetitive material. If they mention it 3 times in the articles, you guys, you don't have to write it down all 3 times. Once is enough. You've got it in the summary. Do you know the author's emphasis? Did you represent the content? Did you write the summary in your own words? Number 6 says, did I identify the material? That means, do you have all that publication stuff right at the top of the page? Do you have the author's last name? His full name, excuse me, guys. The title of the article, the source it came from, the date. Get all that publishing info up there first. And then the sentence that tells us what it's about. And then write it all in your own words. Okay? So like I said, you guys are doing this on a separate sheet of paper. So you're going to take out a sheet of paper, okay? Take out the article, the Why I Wrote the Crucible article, and then just get started on it. Start right at the top, 1 paragraph, 2 paragraphs at a time. Read a paragraph or 2. Write down a phrase, a sentence, bullet points about what the main point in that paragraph is, and you should be good to go. Okay? If you have any questions, we can cover them, but it's 4 pages. It shouldn't take that long because you're just going through it quickly, paragraph or 2 at a time, writing down a main point as the summary. All right? Good luck, guys.